That's starting.
Okie dokie. That's good. Me. All right, guys. All right, hello everyone. Thanks for your patience. As usual, doing things live is not easy when you got 4 different people in 4 different locations. But such is life. Lola doesn't care at all about any of it, so it's all right. Welcome to another episode, I think episode 38 of Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers, with my co-host, Mark Potter. Couldn't do it without him. And then, of course, me, JD Glasscock, and then, of course, Lola.
Hi, Lola.
Anyway, so let's bring our guests in, man.
Right.
Our first guest is an amazing actress, getting a lot of opportunities right now, and doing some amazing things. Let's bring in Shiela Victoria Ann. Hey, Sheila. Our first guest is amazing. And then our next guest is also an amazing actor. Remember to turn the sound down on the, because I think I can hear that somewhere. Amazing guy, a legend, John Hedgecoth. That's your cue, Mark.
Mm-hmm. He's right there.
Hey, John.
Hey.
You guys, it's always a juggle when you're doing live with 4 different people in 4 different locations. So give us thank you for your patience for allowing us to try to get it together. We do this when we first started. We did it about every week and a half, 2 weeks, and then realized with normal lives and actual real jobs that we had to work, and that was a little too much to try to juggle. So we started then doing once a month. But even then, once a month, people don't quite understand the technical difficulties of going a live show with 4 people at their own location. So, but it's awesome. We've had people from Europe, Middle East, all sorts of stuff. So I always felt bad for those people though, Mark, because they're having to do the show at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning or something like that. Where they
getting ready at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, something like that. But hey, they wanted to do the show, so that's where it happens. But we'll get right into it. Again, feel free if you want to share it or do watch party. I'm assuming Sheila probably already did, but
I have.
We'll start off with Sheila. Sheila, what is a project that you've done in the last couple of years that you thought was amazing and turned out well, and we're proud to be part of?
There are way too many to list. I could talk for hours about, I don't know, 2 or 3 dozen projects that have touched my heart and changed my life. I will only talk about one right now because of the significance it's had in my life this particular year. It is a single take film that one of my dear friends, Lauren Locks, and I produced, and it is making its way around the film festival right now. It is a story about a woman who's going through a gamut of emotions as she waits for the sign that could change her life. This story does revolve around pregnancy and everything that goes along with that, right? Some pregnancy.
This is a feature or a short film?
It is a short film. It is a single take film.
So they did it in one shot?
Yes, in a single take. And yeah, so this film is particularly meaningful to me because I experienced a miscarriage earlier this summer. And if this year isn't already crazy enough, that happened. So this film is deeply meaningful to me. It is to her as well. So Lauren wrote it, directed it, and we produced it. We just found out today that it did receive 4 awards from the WRPN Women's International Film Festival. The Award of Excellence for Best Actress, Best Original Score, Best Original Song, and Best Viewer Impact for Inspirational Film.
Well, very beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I just want to say to anybody out there watching, we were a finalist in the 2020 Single Take Film Challenge. So if you follow our film, Positive Film 2020, they can vote for it. So we have a chance to win the audience award as well.
I don't know if you said the title. What's the title of the film?
Positive.
What is it?
Positive.
Positive?
Yes, positive.
Yeah, Positive. Gotcha.
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr under Positive Film 2020.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not a woman, but I have dealt with that same scenario from the standpoint of a man. And I as far as a girl I was dating at the time. And that was, it was pretty brutal from a male standpoint. So I can only imagine from a female standpoint. So I'm sorry you had to go through that. But life happens, and the travails that we go through teach us things and make us stronger to move forward with other things. So
absolutely,
that's a good thing. I'm glad it's doing well. Feel free to hit up Del Weston with, he runs about, I don't know, 15 different festivals. So he's a good guy to, and he's very supportive of artists. So if you haven't already, his main flagship festival is Action on Film in Vegas.
Oh, I've heard. Yeah.
Maybe hit him up. He might be able to help you out with pushing it further.
Thank you.
But that's awesome. I'm gonna drop to John, and then we'll come back with current projects. John, what is something you've done in the last couple years that you were proud of and you were passionate about?
Well, there's not been a whole lot going on around here the last couple of years. I've actually become attached to more projects this year than any other previous year, but being this close in Nashville, of course, there's a lot of music, being videoed up in Nashville. So I guess the last thing I did that really turned out well was the Kaylee Hammack debut video, Family Tree. I played the crazy uncle who was in prison. Her mom had to sell her dryer, basically, to go buy bail. It's a song about just family relationships, especially in the South. Anyway, and we recently found out it was nominated for a CMT award for Best Breakthrough Video.
So they did a story-based video from music video, as opposed to just showing the band up on stage playing and stuff like that. They actually did a storyline along with it.
Yeah, it was shot at her mom and dad's home in Nashville. I spent all day there anyway, and we just had a great time. A lot of music, a lot of really fun people.
Well, I can imagine that if you pursue acting tremendously, you'll get a lot of ops because you got the whole Sam Elliott thing going on. So, you know what I mean? The older, charismatic, Sam Elliott thing. And as everyone knows, almost every woman I've ever met, especially if they're over 30 or 40, Sam Elliott is beloved by all of them. So, and he's got the voice of Velvet, man. And he was, what was I going to say? He was even better, he was in one of the best comedies ever made, The Big Lebowski.
Wonderful film, wasn't it? Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was, and it actually hit so many different genres. Like it's a comedy, but it tried to also be dramatic. It tried to also be action, and tried to also be. It's a weird thing with the Coen brothers. For me, they're very hit and miss. When they hit, it's usually a home run, and then when they miss, it's kind of.
Yeah, crickets.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it. But I mean, like No Country for Old Men, the Big Lebowski. I mean, they have several that were amazing gems that were just great acting, directing, writing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then even the ones that I didn't really care for were still had popular followings, like Fargo. Like I fell asleep in Fargo. I literally couldn't watch that thing, man. That thing was like a talky slog. You know what I mean?
I believe I've seen one episode.
Well, that's TV. I mean, originally that was a film.
Yeah.
And the feature film, was very much a character study, people talking for 2 hours. And I've always had a little bit of trouble trying to slog my way through those kind of films, man. I need some kind of kinetic energy or movement or action. Just films that are just actors talking a lot for 2 hours without a lot of movement is kind of now, I mean, they win awards. Those are the type of films that actors win awards for. I mean, King's Speech, that, you know what I mean? It's they are usually critically acclaimed, but they're very difficult for me personally. But Mark, did you get lost in space for a second there?
No.
Yeah. All right. But that's awesome, man. I'm glad. So it's a country song.
Oh yeah. Nashville, yes, it is.
Very cool. I just did I started off in doing poetry and music like 30 years ago, but I hadn't done music for 15 years. But unfortunately, our bassist just 2 months ago, our bassist from back then that I spent a decade making music with just passed like 2 months ago. And as a tribute, I and the remaining band members are getting together and doing an EP. And it'll be the first time we've made music together in like 15 years, but we're doing it as a tribute to him. So it's been interesting. So
good.
Music, I'm always a lover of music, even in films. I mean, even in my films, music is always an integral part. Like I tried to watch Bone Tomahawk the other night. Have you guys seen that with, I love Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell's one of the leads in it. And it was well written and for the most part well acted, but the director decided to have no score whatsoever in the film.
Oh, no. Oh.
And I always have trouble with that, man. I mean, what do you think about that, Sheila? Score or no score in a film?
Watch any movie without its music and tell me if it's better or worse.
I'm the same way. I think that film would have gotten, and that film didn't do that great. And to me, there was an original story there. There was good acting, some great actors in it. But to me, that's what killed it, is the actor tried to be avant-garde and not put a score in it. And so it was just literally, there was no music anywhere.
Yeah.
And to me, it just really like killed that film. But, but I agree. We can actually talk about that. We can talk about that in the second part. We'll bring it up as one of the subjects to converse about. But let's get back to Sheila. Sheila, on as far as current project, what is a current project you are working on? I mean, I know you're actually in our area right now working on a project, but so what is a current project you're working on that you're passionate about or you think is awesome?
I have actually several projects I'm working on at the moment in pre-production. One that I've been wanting to do for the last year, but the burden of student loans prevented me from funding it for a long time, but I am ready to get it back in the pre-production mode. And I'm working with director and DP Brandon Torres and my best friend Anton Savenko and Indignant Dog Productions to make a music video for one of my band's songs called Lady Outlaw. It is a kind of rough.
You'll have to send me some music of yours. I don't know if I've actually heard any of your music.
Yeah, no problem. It's all over SoundCloud, YouTube, Bandcamp, Reverb Nation. I have music videos and lyric videos on Facebook and Instagram as well. But this particular song has a nice mix of everything. It's got little bits of rock, bluesy riffs. It's got some pop elements to it. And we wrote this song in less than a day, actually, for a 48-hour film project, and loved it so much we decided to fully master it. And now we want to make a music video for it. So
very cool. Well, I'm a lover of four bar fucking blues. I mean, that's like that was my staple go-to when writing songs way back when, man.
Yeah. So we are planning on, we're hoping to shoot it at the Buggy Barn Museum in Blanco, Texas, with several filmmakers. And
I keep hearing Texas a lot. I know you're in Texas right now. Are you in Texas? Do you live in Texas?
I live in Austin, Texas. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that, because I know you're in Dallas right now to shoot something. And then you just said Texas again. So I'm like, wait, is this girl from Texas?
Yes. I was born in Santa Fe, New Mexico, but I've been in Texas most of my life and currently live in Austin. So yeah, we're going to plan to film this in Blanco at the Buggy Barn Museum.
I've never been to Austin yet, so.
Oh, Austin's an amazing city, very supportive and collaborative.
Yeah, it's very artsy.
Community.
The only thing people say it's hotter than it is up here down there.
I think people say that about every city in Texas. You hear, it's almost like people argue, is Houston hotter than El Paso, hotter than Dallas, hotter than Austin? It really.
Well, the one thing I like about Dallas is it actually does have seasons, and you also get rainstorms in the summer and rainstorms in the spring. And
yeah.
After 8 years in LA, where it would like sprinkle 3 days a year,
yeah,
literally, I enjoy that there's actual rain and that it rains. It'll periodically rain in spots, like in the middle of the summer, it'll rain for 3 days and kind of cool everything off.
Yeah.
You know, but I lived a decade in Seattle too, and that was like too much rain. So
I can imagine.
yeah, but I hear you. I'll eventually, I'm sure, get down to Austin just because specifically I love Rodriguez and Rodriguez Studios there. El Rey Network.
I had the pleasure of working on a Robert Rodriguez film last year.
Yeah, he's great. He's a very talented guy, man.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things I've ever seen is when he did that series of Director's Chair on El Rey, where he sat with some of the biggest directors in the history of our film industry, and having one really talented director interview another really talented director. That show was also one of the inspirations, I think, for this, just because I thought it was so amazing, him interviewing Coppola and interviewing Carpenter and interviewing Tarantino, and because I think directors will say things to other directors in that venue that they wouldn't say to some Joe Blow Schmo, a journalist asking him questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's brilliant. He's creative, and at least
he won't let his DP do much.
Yeah,
I've watched things on him where his DP's like, I can never hold the camera because Rodriguez always pulls the camera out of my hands and shoots it himself.
Very hands-on.
Yeah, but very, very cool. So I know you. How many projects do you have right now that I know you're in one. But that's just an acting role, right? You're not involved in it in any other form except as the role, right?
Correct. I recently did a series of 43 interviews for another pilot and hopefully episodic TV series about trauma, trials, and tribulations that people go through and what happens after you go through them. Right.
Well, during the current pandemic, I don't think you'd have to skip a rock very far to find tribulations and trials.
Yeah, I'm particularly before this year, people were talking about their childhood, in the last 5-10 years, but it is eye-opening, especially some people that I work with or family, friends, you name it, just I know them from a working relationship or friendship, and just seeing this whole other side of them that I never would have seen otherwise. It's just so eye-opening.
Well, a lot of people in creative a lot of people that pursue creative aspects usually are people that have gone through some stuff.
Right. I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
It was very awe-inspiring to hear that they went through that and to know that they used art, film, music, writing, songwriting to get through that trial, and they are now stronger than they were before. So it was as tough as it was to hear these stories in vivid detail. It was just a monstrous amount of inspiration to see that they made it through, and they're as successful or as positive and kind as they are.
Well, I know from a writing standpoint, I mean, my writing has been extremely therapeutic, and it was probably one of the main reasons I started writing way back when. So I get it. And people do that, whether it be through music or whether it be through acting or whether it be through whatever vehicle they choose to pursue.
Right. The life of a creative.
Yeah, I mean, well, to me, out of all the talented people I've met, most of the most skilled people I've met are people that have gone through a lot of trauma in their lives. Unfortunately, I you know, those things tend to go hand in hand, unfortunately. But you know, I always say life will never put you through something that you can't handle. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's a lot. And my thing is that everybody has something, whether it's a physical, an emotional, or a mental thing, problem, experience. You know, whether it happened a long time ago or it's happening now, everybody goes through something, and in that notion, we are all together. Is that?
Well, and I always try to, and I think I posted this a little while ago of like, if people would just understand how much trauma and stress everyone, including them, everyone is going through in the last year between the pandemic, hurricanes, fires, the election, all that stuff. And I get the initial reaction to want to throw out anger and judgment and all that kind of stuff because of all the stress that's being dumped on top of everybody. But maybe then have a little perspective of saying we're all going through that. So maybe have a little more compassion and understanding. And I mean, I get how easy it is to jump in the anger, judgment, lashing out aspect when you're feeling that kind of stress and stuff. But maybe to take a step back, take giant deep breaths.
Yeah, and actually therein lies the irony, because we see these people hurting and struggling and trying their very best, and then they still turn to anger and sadness and fear. And in that moment, we have to look at them and look at their sadness and pain and say, well, they're not able to cope with it. They're not able to turn it around. So in that moment, we have to be even more forgiving and even more understanding. It's a song that I wrote a couple years ago is called Take Your Sadness Out on Me. Essentially knowing that there are people who will never be strong enough. And those are the people, or those are the moments where we have to give an extra arm's length, or we have to reach out, provide another shoulder, another ear, another just outlet for them, because in that moment they're not strong enough, but we don't know if we're the thing that makes them stronger in the end. So
I agree. And to have a little compassion, a little empathy, it goes a long way. Now let's jump to John. John, what is a current project you're doing that you're amped up about?
I'm amped up about a lot. Back when all this started, my agent had emailed me asking my availability for a video for Diplo, Young Thug, and Thomas Rhett. I emailed her back right away and said, yes, I'm available. The video is set to be shot the next day. After I replied my availability, about 2 hours later, I got another email from her saying that it had been canceled because of COVID.
Yeah, that's a common denominator.
I am amped up about a few projects that, for instance, one, Royal Flush. we were supposed to be in Santa Fe this July shooting that one. And it's a Western that's a little different. It was written by Randall and Talisha Crawford of Well Writers Films. And they have also put me on the cast of a series, actually, that they're doing that deals with homelessness. It's called Home. And can't say a whole lot about either one. And so I'm real excited about that. Get to go back to Santa Fe.
Well, I mean, your look is born and bred for a Western, man. Holy hell, man.
It's what they do, man.
So, I mean, you know, I would certainly throw you in a Western. I have a Western, but that's not something I'm working on right now. But I have one that's ready to go when we do get to that. I'm sure I'll hit you up.
I would be looking forward. I'd be looking forward just to get to a desert climate again. My allergies are killing me here.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think when I moved here 4 years ago, man, from LA after 8 years in LA, I've always lived on the West Coast, like ocean. So I never really had to deal with allergies too much. Mm-hmm. And then I moved here, and oh my God, in the first 6 months, I was in the emergency room twice with almost pneumonia from allergies that I didn't know what was happening, and that I had let them, because I didn't know it was allergies, I had let it get so bad that literally I was like, had to go get a bunch of steroid shots. And
right. Oh, in the springtime here, you know, we have all the pine pollen, and of course the COVID was scaring everyone to death. I was afraid to walk down the street and sniff, you know. I was afraid some black Escalade would pull up beside me and throw me in. Say, you have COVID, come on, let's go.
Yeah, believe me, I get it. I took 3 months off of work in March when it first happened, because I was like, I don't even want to mess with it. And then recently had to go back to work, which is a little bit scary because there's no in what I do.
Are you serious?
What did it do?
It cut out.
Why? The connection?
Mm-hmm.
You're probably frozen on their screen.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video for now.
What was that? I just got.
I know.
Everyone got booted?
Yeah, I did too.
I'm telling them to click the link again.
Okay.
That's a new one.
Right.
But it did it because it said it wanted to update Zoom. That's a first, man. I don't know if that's ever happened.
I don't know.
Did it say that with you? Wants to update Zoom?
No. It just kicked me out. It like shut me down.
Make sure to pay attention to the actors clicking the link again. Did you put, Sheila said that we only had, when she first did it, we pay for Zoom, so I don't know why I would say that. It said, Sheila was saying when it first came on that we had 10 minutes for this free Zoom meeting.
Nope.
But we pay for Zoom, so I don't know why it would do that.
All right, let's get back.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's never happened, really. And in 38 episodes, I've never seen that happen. I thought it was just me getting kicked out for some reason. Because when it kicked me off, it said wanted to update Zoom.
Yeah, and I have no clue, but at least we're back now.
Hey, is there any way you're going to be able to connect those two videos together?
No, it's the same video. So basically what I did is I put a pause after everything, so we should be fine. We'll just edit it at that point.
Okay, go ahead. You can go live again.
We are.
Oh, okay. We are live.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I've never seen that. In all 38 episodes, I have not seen that happen. I've seen where people's using their cell phones and their cell phones run out of battery. I've seen it remember the one guy that was trying to run around in the street and have the meeting at the interview at the same time, and he lost connection. And we've seen a lot of things in 38 episodes, but I've never seen it where we just all get booted off the.
Huh. Okay.
Oh, man.
But anyway, so we're back on. So sorry, you guys. But again, when you're doing something live and it's not pre-recorded where you can edit it and everything,
Right.
that stuff happens. So, but I like the feel of live. So I like we could have done it the other way where we privately taped the interview and then edit the crap out of it and then put it up. But I like the impromptu of live, man.
Yeah, no fun in having everything put together for you.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not a film. Now, obviously, there are a lot of. I think we were the first, Mark. As far as I know, we were like the first ones that I saw doing this, and now there's tons of people doing this.
Dell's got one.
I mean, literally, we were the only ones I saw doing multiple. Now, there were some that are just doing one-on-one interviews before us, but we were the first ones that I saw. And what have we been doing? Like 2.5 years now?
Yeah.
Where I saw literally they were doing multiple live all at once, multiple people. And now they're like popping up all over the place. I think part of it has to do with the COVID. So everybody's at home and has like a lot of time on their hands. So they're trying to figure out like things to do. But now I see like literally all over the place where I only knew of like maybe 2 others that were doing it through Facebook and live Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah, Dell's got
so it's
one.
interesting. So, hey, so we're going to get back to this. So, Shiela, what is a future project in the next couple of years that you're passionate about that you want to do?
I am just beyond blessed and thankful to have met so many people in the last few weeks after working on this TV show for Amazon called Panic. But additionally, I also connected with a wildlife cinematographer and videographer who worked for National Geographic, Discovery Channel, BBC's Planet Earth, and is going to work on Planet Earth 3 as well. He and I have become very good friends in the last couple weeks, and he invited me to help him with a new TV show he's working on and is pitching to National Geographic as well. It is a kids television show and revolves around wildlife, and I have no clue when it's going to happen. I'm hoping next year. I believe he's working on the pitch right now, but that's coming in the future. Fingers crossed that National Geographic.
Well, if he's already done it several times, it usually bodes well. To me, the hardest. Well, if you're good, okay. So if you're good at filmmaking, writing, that kind of stuff, the hardest accomplishment will be your first feature. Getting funding for it, shooting it. I mean, like I've shot 15 shorts and about to shoot probably my 16th and coming soon. But your first one is difficult. After you do that, and if you're good at what you do, that'll usually make some money for people, whatever it is. And then it becomes a lot easier to get funding. So if your friend's already done stuff for National Geographic, then I'm sure it'll.
Yeah, I have no doubt based off of his skill and reputation. I was merely talking about coronavirus because we didn't expect that. Who knows what's going to happen next year? Mm-hmm. So that's why I was crossing my fingers. And yeah, the gentleman's name is Lex Jones. His website is wildlifefilmpro.com. He is just absolutely phenomenal. So if whoever's watching, check out his stuff, follow him. He's a fantastic person too in general. So that's what I'm looking forward to most. There are a few other things. I was invited to work on a TV series up in Albuquerque in January for Amazon as well. Although that's a lot to think about, going to another state for 9 months, but I mean, you also never know.
It is. Unfortunately, though, like at least you have stuff going on in South Texas. In North Texas, literally there's almost no film industry at all. So
that sounds like a good opportunity to create your own opportunities.
true, but even the fun people, there's no most of the tax incentives in Texas are tied to a city like Austin. So statewise, there's not very many tax incentives at all. So every time I've talked to someone about funding, they always want to go to another state. They don't want to be in North Texas because there are so many states that are offering such lucrative either tax rebate or tax incentive.
New Mexico.
That there's no point. Why would they want to stay in a place that's offering almost nothing? You know what I mean?
Right.
So a lot of people are also going to a lot of people are shooting in Canada right now because they still haven't figured out exactly what they want to do, but all the union asks of what they're asking for coronavirus is very fiscally challenging to a lot of productions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, they want to be safe, but literally some of the demands that the unions are asking for in the U.S., like only things with a extremely large budgets would be able to actually like pull off all those things.
Right.
And so I know a lot of people that are going to Canada to shoot because not that they care less about safety, they do, but they're a little less demanding on all what they want, you know what I mean, as far as making sure people are safe. But plus they're not having cases like us. Our US still has cases blowing up everywhere, and you know, most other places are coming down or doing the opposite. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's a whole other ball game when your country is not in a situation like we are currently in. And I hear that every day from another person or colleague that they're considering leaving the U.S., not just for work temporarily, but considering it for the long run. And it's just the year that we're in.
well, and also you got a lot of hate-filled vitriol from both sides politically. So it's literally you take the insane amount of stress from a pandemic, and then you multiply that with this left-right vitriol hatred, and the politicians aren't helping. The politicians are purposely creating more division. So, and I don't care which side of the thing you're on; both of them are doing it. So it's literally, it's like maybe can you all tone that stuff down and be a little more professional with each other? That would be.
Yeah, I feel like that may never happen.
I don't know. I mean, 20 years ago, do you remember 20 years ago, John, where I don't remember this kind of hate and vitriol. I remember arguments. I
remember the civil rights movement of the 60s, and it was not, well, this kind of, it reminds me a whole lot of it, but politically what's going on now, I've never seen anything like this. And I remember Nixon.
Yeah, I mean, just the level of hate and vitriol is like insanely beyond anything I've ever experienced. It's
I think you were about to say there's arguments and debates, but they were at least civil.
Yeah, and there was no like you didn't automatically hate any of your friends that had a different belief system than you. You know what I mean? Like, and now you have people that are like in the same families, like just literally hating each other because of this kind of crap. And I'm like, oh my lordy, stop, guys. Literally.
Yeah, that harkens back a century or so ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I don't know, man. Such is life. The only one you can control is you, is what I found in life. So people are going to do crazy, dumb things, and all you can do is pray for them and hope it, doesn't blow up in their face, I guess. Now, John, what is what is something in the next 2 years that you had your heart set on that you would love to do?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I just got cast in Watch Dogs, which is a post-apocalyptic thing. They sent me the script last week.
Watch Dogs, is that what you said?
Watch Dogs, yeah.
Yeah, Christian script.
Yeah, Christian script. They sent me that last week. I started reading it. I could not stop until I finished it.
Well, Christian's very talented. Yeah.
Oh, she is. All those awards. I mean, she's posting every day about all the awards.
Yeah, although I don't know where. I mean, you know how expensive it is to submit to festivals, and she literally, I think, submit. I don't know if she's independently wealthy. She literally submits to like shit tons of festivals, and that crap's like $50, $60, $70
A pop.
per submission.
A pop.
Yeah, I was curious about that, but hey, results. You know.
Hey, no, and I have another friend of mine. He has a really good day job, literally a really good day job. I think he's an attorney or something like that, and he literally makes really good money. And he submits to like literally like 200 festivals a year with all of his scripts.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to do the math on that at minimum $40, $50 per entry, but that's literally. That's why I never really. I don't have those kind of fiscals. That's why I submit like a few times here and there.
Right.
It's about $1,000.
There is one thing that I've wanted to do for a very long time. Now I got to back up a little bit. My son, he's 40 now. He pretty much grew up at the Cumberland County Playhouse up in Crossville, Tennessee. We lived right down the street from there. And when he was 12, I took him, they were auditioning kids at the time. I took him up there and said, come on, son, we're going to do something with all that energy. So long story short, he grew up at the Playhouse, moved to LA, became involved in film there. And year before last, he graduated magna cum laude of the LA Film School. And now he's working as editor and producer in Hollywood. And one thing I've always wanted to do was work for him.
Very cool.
Have him direct me. And
well, you got a connection. Can't you pull a little string and say, hey, son?
Right.
I did raise you after all. Can you put me in a film?
Exactly. Well, he's working at a studio now. Right now, they're basically doing a short, like music videos and podcasts and whatnot. But he's making pretty good bank out there. I mean, he's able to live.
Which is not easy. I spent 8 years in LA. I made a living doing stand-in and background acting, like Union or whatever, SAG. To me, it was good because I literally put me on sets watching some of the best directors and DPs and all that stuff, like in the industry, and I'm just watching them work, especially as a stand-in. That's all you're doing is standing there, right, watching the DP and the director and the stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's if you can handle making a living in LA, you should be able to handle. The only place harder than that is probably New York.
Yeah, actually, he told me last time I spoke with him, he said he will be coming this way at the end of this month. So maybe we can put something quick together. Yeah.
Very cool, man. Yeah, I think we're putting together Mark's putting together a Kickstarter for me to do another short film in the next soon, detective noir one, just because these guys that I know asked me to do it, put it together because they're like corporate video guys. They have a production company. They do corporate videos, and they've been doing it for a long time, and they have a lot of equipment, but they wanted to get more creative experience, like creative set experience.
Gotcha.
So we're trying to put that together. But I hear you. Shorts and music videos and even blogs. And I even know actors that use TikTok to own their skills up. Those are all good things for teaching yourself and for learning and putting your stuff out there.
Yeah, it's for keeping the muscles in tune, the acting muscles.
We're just learning like beginning filmmakers. Whenever I see a beginning filmmaker try to immediately go into a feature, I'm like, how about you shoot a couple shorts first? That would be good before you start trying to like do an hour-and-a-half feature when you haven't ever done anything yet.
Oh my gosh.
No, there are people that do that, man. They just want to jump right all the way from point A to Z without the little steps between, man. I'm always like, maybe you want to
fill in all those
steps first and then go.
Right.
But bless their hearts, man. There's 1,000 roads to Damascus. Whatever makes them happy and gets them there is a good thing.
Well, yeah, if it works for them, that's fine.
No, I know. Congrats on the thing with Kristen. Kristen's a very nice lady, and she's a very skilled writer. I have a few other friends of mine that are, I think, cast in that. So I wish her nothing but blessings to that film taking off for her.
So.
What's the role that you have in there?
Travis. And I'm excited about that role. It's like the shortest role in the entire movie. But have you ever seen The Longest Day, the World War II movie about D-Day?
I watched all those movies growing up, but I would have to think about it.
Okay, this might jog a memory. Red Buttons.
I remember Red Buttons. He was usually in black and white, so you didn't see a lot of red, but still.
True. But anyone who doesn't know Red Buttons, you should look him up. Great comedian of his time. He was given the choice of any role in that movie that he wanted. And he says, the paratrooper that gets stuck on the church steeple, that's the one I want. He said, but Red, that's the shortest one in the movie. He said, yeah, but it's the best. And that's
length of the key where an actor is dialogue and the moment of the film. And there's been many films where you have a smaller role with not a lot of dialogue, but that dialogue and that role and that moment of the film is so pivotal to the success of the entire film that stands out. And
that, like I said, that's the one scene from that film that I remember. He was up there maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes tops.
I get you. All right, so you guys, we're going to take a little 5-minute break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about life. We'll talk about musical scores or no musical scores in films. We can talk about aspects of creative choices, aspects of film. We can talk about. We'll start off when we come back with what's your top 2 favorite films of all time that you're not involved with. You can't do a film that you created or something. Top 2 films of all time. And then we'll start off with that. So you guys don't disconnect from this. He'll put our little Stormcrow screen up, but stay connected. Go get a drink, go get water, go to the bathroom, whatever you want. We'll be back in 5 minutes. And then we'll start off on our favorite 2 films, and then we'll go from there and talk about maybe some different aspects of film. Okay?
Got it.
See you in 5. Lois, hey, thank you for watching, you guys. We'll see you in 5 minutes. You've been watching Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers, with 2 amazing spirits as guests, and we're going to talk to them more, and we'll be back in 5. All right.
Y'all in a sec.
All you have to do is hit the button.
We have a fan reporter. Someone who's a fan of the show.
So what are they saying?
How was your possible?
So what did they say? What is it?
Where's my insurance?
I don't know. You're not bringing it?
No, I guess not. I guess I have bugs.
Oh, well, it's on the table. Oh, well, maybe not. I'm not sure. Okay. You know, you never answered my question.
What?
This fan person, what are they saying? Is it a dude?
They just said, hey, you got a fan supporter all the way from here from, I think Paco in India.
But there was a lot of comments.
One of her friends too.
Huh?
One of her friends too.
Another dude? Or a chick? Huh? Hello? Is it a dude or a chick?
Chick.
So you're flirting with the chick or whatever? What was she saying? You know all you have to do is hit your microphone and it will mute you, right? So how do you have support in India?
Just do.
India. Who knows that, Gigi? Why is my phone on the floor? Oh, it's on the floor.
Read it.
Huh?
Read it.
Read what?
I just sent.
This isn't what we were talking about.
This is what JD wants to do.
Oh, those stickers that I found, the small business stickers. Remember, it was $9.99. You listening? You know how many stickers we get for $9.99? They're 2-inch stickers. You know how many we get? 600.
And what are these stickers?
They said thank you for supporting my small business, so you can put more orders. Electronic dartboard.
Southeast is a very non-union climate, but trouble is I'm union.
They don't have any right now.
Yeah, I actually was union, and then I gave it up after a couple years of being here because I was still paying for it, and there's no work here. So I was like, literally, I'm just paying the dues for no reason.
I'm pretty.
And I was like, I can't keep it up. I can't keep paying this 300, whatever the hell it was.
Well, ask him if you
every 3 months or whatever it is.
Unfortunately, I'm pretty centrally located. Nashville's 2.5 hours away. Atlanta's like 2.5 hours. Knoxville is just an hour and a half up the road. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, when I first moved to North Texas, the only thing they had shooting here that was like legitimate was Queen of the South, which was a USA TV show.
Yeah.
And I worked on it. I did background on it for a whole season as a regular, but literally the union, I was SAG, but SAG doesn't cover background in Texas.
No.
So it was literally like it was like non-union rates. And I was just like, I can't make enough money doing this. So literally I just gave up on trying to do that kind of stuff because there's just nothing beyond that. There was nothing here.
What was your favorite background gig?
Probably the last one I had. It wasn't really background. I was a stand-in for Eric Dane on the last ship.
Oh, okay. I got to say,
and that show was backed by Michael Bay, so it was, a lot of hours though, man. I mean, literally, that was like 65-hour weeks, like 70-hour weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I did one season, and I couldn't do it anymore, man. I was like about to keel over because they shot mostly on location. So literally, I was having to drive all over LA every day, 5 days a week. So you're talking probably 60 hours of work and then another like 10 to 15 hours of travel time.
Right. My favorite one was Boulevard. And I know what you mean about the hours. It was 3, 12, 14, 15-hour nights.
Yeah, I'm not really big on that. When I shoot film, I'm like Eastwood. Eastwood was big on doing like 12-hour days at the most. He's not. He doesn't believe in burning his crew out. He'd rather add 2-3 weeks of production time onto the back end and keep everyone, so you're not halfway through production, everybody's falling asleep because there's literally like they're working 15-hour days every day. But he's rare. Most of them are not like that. Most of them are like shoot 14, 15-hour days, like all the time. And I just think it's non-productive. You're burning your entire crew out doing that.
Yeah. Oh my God. But what I learned on Boulevard more than made up for any lack of pay or lack of sleep that I had. I learned that not all directors can really know what they're doing. I don't care how much money they have behind them. And big name stars are just hired schmucks like the rest of us. They're better paid. Now,
I believe me, I did it for 8 years, man. That's all I did for 8 years, and was on every kind of TV show and feature film you could think of in LA. And you are right, especially in TV, there are a lot of directors that are not good at what they do. I remember being on, I was semi-regularly on it, that Sally Fields, Brothers and Sisters. You remember that TV show with Sally Fields?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember being on an elevator. It was on location. We were shooting on the second floor, and I remember getting in the elevator, and there was like 3 20-year-old kids goofing around. But they had like a headset on their head, like they were a crew. And I'm like, what do these guys do? Because they looked like they were so wet behind the ears. I was like, what do they? And they're like, they're in the writing room. They're writers. And I'm like, at 19, 20 years old. And I'm like, why would this show with Sally Fields, with that kind of money behind it, be hiring 19, 20-year-old writers? And I asked him something along those lines, and he goes, oh, we don't really write. My dad's the producer, so he put us in the writing room so that we could build our resumes up.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I was just like, wow. All right.
Gotcha. Yeah. Nepotism is alive and well in the film industry. Yes.
Yeah. I was just like going, okay. I mean, how many actually like writers would die that are actually skilled writers would die to get this opportunity? And
exactly. Yeah. Anyway, that second night on Boulevard, man, there was an enormous amount of time between setup on this show. And
are you talking about like Hurry Up and Wait? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah, a long time. Usually pretty.
A lot of shows would do that, man. And they, especially with background, they would bring them in at 8 a.m, and then no one in background would do anything until 5 at night, 5 or 6 at night.
Anyway,
and they knew that going in, but just in case, they brought everyone in at 8 a.m, just in case something changed and they wanted to.
Exactly. We were waiting on this setup, and I'm looking out this is on Broadway in Nashville, and Robin Williams is standing out in the middle of the road, wondering what the heck's going on.
I miss him, Robin Williams. I miss him.
Yeah. I learned. Anyway, he came over and started just riffing with us.
Really I met him once a long time ago. He was a very beautiful spirit.
And people ask me, what was he like? Just exactly like you would expect him to be. He was just like that.
Well, a lot of them are. A lot of them were exactly how you see him on screen. Like I worked once with, what's the guy from, oh my God, dude. He was in Transformers, the Michael Bay ones. The main kid before
Shia
LaBeouf. Yeah. And he's exactly how you see him on screen, man. Literally, I had a smoke with the guy, and he's just sitting there chain smoking, talking a million miles an hour, just exactly how you see him on screen, just going blah, 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 like chain smoking, like pacing back and forth, like he's just as very ADHD as you see him on screen. Yeah. But a lot of them are like that. But anyway, okay, so let's get going. So, Shiela, what did you come up with your 2 favorite films of all time?
They're quite opposite in, I would say, style and genre and theme. The first one would be Wizard of Oz. That's the kid in me speaking. I just absolutely love. Yes, I just absolutely love that they took this dream and turned it into this Technicolor world.
Although I remember the monkeys freaked me out when I was a kid, but yeah.
No, they didn't bother me. I thought they were really cool. I'm obsessed, obviously, with music and film. And I just love every second of that movie. The production design is phenomenal. Just from the singing and the dancing to the choreography to the props to the hair, makeup, and then just the whole thing put together. It's just.
Well, remember back then they didn't have special effects, so literally they had to capture everybody's attention with the writing, the acting, and performance and costuming.
Yeah.
So literally they spent so much energy and time on those things that literally that's why if you look back at those old films, a lot of the writing and acting and eye of detail to costuming and framing the camera and all that kind of stuff was much higher skilled in a lot of ways than a lot of the current stuff.
Yeah, much more detailed, much more time spent on it because they couldn't just slap some CGI on there. Yeah, and I would say the other one of my all-time favorite movies is Eraserhead, David Lynch.
I love David Lynch, but I didn't watch. I have a hard time sometimes with horror.
I love horror. I write some of it. I absolutely love horror. Anything thriller, suspense.
And David Lynch though is brilliant. Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive, like he's one of my inspirations in film. That was the one film though I didn't watch, although that was the only film he tried to do the whole black and white thing, isn't it?
He did do the whole black and white thing. It was his first film he ever made, and it's absolutely brilliant. There's so many layers to it that you don't pick up on when you first watch it.
Well, he does that in all of his films, in my opinion. But yeah, that's like one of his that's one of his sticks. Kind of like Del Toro, the costuming and color palette's always going to be, and lighting is always going to be insane. You know what I mean? With Tarantino, the dialogue is always going to be like highly skilled. Every actor's got like a little kind of a niche that they're like almost really well known for. And Lynch is one of those really, everything's going to have double entendres and layers and kind of nuance in the world he creates. Yeah.
I think it's very important to note though that he did that from the start, from his very first film. So unfortunately, a lot of people have not seen it, so they just don't know. He did that from the get-go,
Terry Gilliam.
And he did it with very little equipment. He did it with very little help. It was just
Lynch is brilliant. Him and I like him and Terry Gilliam and Sergio Leone and Rodriguez, Del Toro, Tarantino. Those are the people I like as far as filmmakers go. Plus, one of the reasons I like those people, because there's other ones I like. To me, those are some of the most consistent directors. Their films are always consistently good. Because I think we mentioned before, we're like, I love the Coen brothers, but for me, the Coen brothers were very hit and miss on their films. And I don't know if that's because one Coen brother writes one thing and the other Coen brother writes. I have no understanding how those two work. But the people I just mentioned, along with Lynch, they were always very extremely consistent in their skill. Pretty much every film that Lynch has made, and Eraserhead, I remember starting to watch. I think I was really young when that came out, so it was freaking me out too much, and I stopped watching it.
Yeah, there's a certain brilliance in the idea of embracing the weird, something that I like to do in a lot of my songwriting and I guess writing in general. Just like, how can you show the world another side of you, and the idea of just being as weird as you are. I think he does that without blinking an eye. He does it without regret, and because he does it wholeheartedly, you see so much passion in it. You see so many just different contrasting ideas of love and hate, positivity, negativity, lifelessness, and electricity.
Well, whether it's weird or something else, I've always said to younger artists that the greatest artists in the world are the ones with the least filter, with the most self-awareness, self-truth, and able to create things and show things with the least amount of filter. Because that's real life. Real life doesn't have filter.
Right.
So to me, that's what creates great art, is when you can show something that's poignant and powerful, and you don't put a bunch of politically correct filters on top of it.
Yeah, just
So-
to be exactly who you are and do exactly whatever you want.
Yeah, unapologetically. John, what about you? What's two of your favorite films?
Oh my God, it's like picking a favorite child, man.
I know there's a lot. I get it. I'd be hard pressed to pick two.
I'd have to go back to Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Oh yeah, with the redheaded. No, it's Gene Kelly. What is it?
No, it's Jimmy Cagney. James
James
Cagney.
Cagney.
Gene Kelly was Singing in the Rain. He was the other song and dance man. James
Well, I
Cagney.
know, but they were. I remember watching. Watched all those films growing up, because remember, we grew up when there was like 6 channels or something like that. So literally,
Oh, really?
most of what you watched was old stuff. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I had 3 channels. But anyway, I used to stay up late at night, watch the all-night movies. You know, they would come on Friday and Saturday. And I remember seeing Yankee Doodle Dandy. I really enjoyed it. It's a song and dance. And
wait, is that the redheaded guy?
Yeah, James Cagney.
No,
Jimmy-
Cagney was the one that was in like Bogart films, right? Like the detective noir films, right?
Well, he did those too, like Angels with Dirty Faces. He did that.
Oh, I'm thinking of Danny Kaye. Is what I'm thinking of.
Oh, Danny Kaye. Yeah. Oh God, he was good. Anyway.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I remember that. And he's really good.
Uh,
Do you know who these people are, Sheila? Danny Kaye?
No, I don't think that's my generation's forte.
okay.
Well, it wasn't my generation either. It was all that stuff was before my. But in my generation, you watched a lot of, because there was only a few channels. You watched a lot of stuff that was before you were born. So now there's 300 channels. So a lot of people don't watch stuff that was before their birth. But when we grew up, you watched a lot of stuff that was way before you were born. You know what I mean? Errol Flynn and Gene Kelly and Danny Kaye and Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, and
The Road to Pick a Place. You know.
yeah.
Yeah. That was my mom and dad's generation mainly, but I loved it.
Like 50s, 40s, 50s. So what's another one?
Any film noir, I adore. Let's see. Moving on up. The only other one that popped to mind immediately was Secret Window with Johnny Depp.
I like that movie.
And,
Is that where he's the author?
Yes.
right? And he's going crazy, and you get to watch it from his perspective.
Yeah, and what is that? Is that the 90s? Late 90s?
No.
No. Okay.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. Yeah, and that was also during the time there was a lot of that kind of thematic of films coming out, Misery and Secret Window, with that kind of very slow paced kind of mental breakdown. That was a popular theme during like from the end of the 90s to about the mid 2000s. That was as far as psychological horror, I guess would be a way of saying.
Just
Right.
like 23. I think I can't remember if it's 23. With Jim Carrey is one of his serious moments.
Cable Guy.
Well, along with the Truman Show, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Truman Show, I adored that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your two favorite films, Mark? Are you gonna say Star Wars?
Yeah, I'd have to say yes.
Well, you got to understand, Mark is a lightsaber savant, so
I love my lightsabers.
so and he doesn't mean anything phallic by that at all.
No,
I saw Star Wars opening day in the theaters, Mark. It was great. One of the only times that I witnessed the audience stand up and cheer was when Darth Vader got sent spinning off into space.
No, I remember the first time I saw Star Wars was my parents took me and my sister to a drive-in, and reverse backed up. They had a pickup truck with the shell, and I remember they backed up in towards the drive-in, and we sat on the with the tailgate down with blankets watching it. Now, back then, we didn't even think about it, but then I was wondering in retrospect what my parents were doing for 2 hours up in the front seat. But, you know, still, you know.
So other than Star Wars, I would have to say I Am Legend is actually one of my favorite movies.
That's interesting.
And
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad film. I don't know if it's one of the best films ever made, but I mean, it's if you're a Will Smith fan, that's probably one of his better ones.
Hey, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That and Transcendence with Johnny Depp.
That was a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I think is an underrated film? I don't know if I would say it's one of my favorite films ever, but I certainly think it's an underrated film. It's Equilibrium with the guy that played Batman, Christian Bale.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They do gun fu. I thought that was an underrated film.
Along the same lines as Transcendence is Lucy.
Yes, that's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, one of my favorites would be The Big Lebowski. I think The Big Lebowski is a brilliant film.
The guy. The dude.
And then there's a lot of them. Growing Up, Time Bandits is one of my favorite ones. Terry Gilliam.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a great film, but for when you're 12 or whatever, it's a really fun film.
Big Fish is good, I thought.
I'm sorry?
Big Fish.
Big Fish. I kind of remember that one. That was like a long time ago. And then Legends of the Fall, I thought was a great film.
Never Ending Story.
The original one, yeah. It's a good film. All right, so let's talk about this, okay? Who here has seen the film I referenced earlier with Kurt Russell, Bone Tomahawk? It's actually relatively new. That only came out about 4 years ago, I think.
I have not seen that one yet. The last Kurt Russell movie I saw, I think, was The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes.
Okay, so it had a lot of good acting in it. The only person I didn't think was good, and I've never thought he was a good actor, his two sisters are brilliant actresses. He is horrible, is Arquette. What's that guy's name? David Arquette. That guy is not a good actor, man. And he's in the beginning of that film. Kind of a smaller role, but that guy is just not a good actor. Patricia and Roseanne Roseanne, I think is her name, his two sisters.
Yeah.
I think they're both brilliant actors, but I think it skipped David. But now this is the film I was talking about, though, that had no score. Oh. Literally, it had no musical score in the film, man. And you never notice how much a score means to a film until it's all said not there.
Right, exactly.
And I didn't even realize what was bothering me about that film the first 10 minutes I was watching it until I zeroed in on, oh my God, there's no score. Like there's literally no music going on at all in this film.
Yeah, with a good score, you don't even really consciously hear the score until it's not there anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then at first, because you're so used to every film having a score, that when I was watching the first 10 minutes of that film, and I hadn't seen it, and I saw it, and I went, "Oh, Kurt Russell! I love Kurt Russell. I haven't seen this film. Let me watch it." And for 10 minutes, I was watching it. Go, what is bothering me about this film? Something is really, besides David Arquette, something is really bothering me about this film. And then I realized that the entire first 10 minutes I've been watching it, that there was no music going on, and I'm like, well, is this a glitched copy? I mean, what the hell? Why is there no music going on? And then I realized, I Googled it and stuff like that. And it was a creative choice by the director to make it more sparse and more, I don't know, tension, create
Right.
tension or whatever. And I'm like, no, dude,
How
you
did
could,
you-
with the right score, you can create a tremendous amount of tension
Yeah, I was trying to say,
and
how did it work
impact
out?
and power without any score. It was so dry. Anytime actors weren't talking, it was too empty. It was complete emptiness.
If you want a sudden point of tension, you can stop the score. And people will notice that with a well-written, well-acted, and well-scored film, all those things work seamlessly together. And you really
When
don't
I
see
wondered why a
But you
film with
take one
Kurt
of those
Russell on the
away,
poster hadn't done so well. Like, because it didn't get that great of reviews. It didn't get big promotion. It didn't get big marketing. And I'm like, how does a Kurt Russell film not get big marketing, big push, big whatever? And then I realized that like this film would have been 100 times better, probably would have gotten pushed, probably would have gotten marketed if there had been a score there. I guarantee you the powers that be got in on the final edit and cut and went, oh my God, dude, like,
right.
you know what I mean? It just, like you should watch it even if you don't watch all of it, you should watch it and tell me your thoughts that how better that film would have been if there would have been like a good score there.
You made a good case to not watch it, though.
No, but there is good writing there, and it's very original. Like as far as the storyline is not something I've ever seen before. It's like a Western horror. And so that was what bothered me so much about it, is I'm like, this could have been a great film if there had been a score there. You know what I mean? Like it literally killed the film, but there's actually good writing there. There's good acting there, and it's original story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a risk somebody took, and maybe they learned their lesson.
True. I just don't know why anyone would. I just never. I get trying to be different and do something innovative or whatever.
I guess you don't know till you try either.
Yeah, but even when they're sitting in post, they could go, hey, that's not working. We need to add a score. I don't understand how this guy literally let it go all the way through and said, no, look, that's my choice and I'm going to stick with it. And
it was his choice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a strong opinionated filmmaker. I get it, but you still at some point have to listen to the creatives around you. There's a reason why you hired them, right? There's a reason why I've always saying filmmaking is a team sport. You know what I mean? So you have to be able, even when you're the writer, director, or whatever, you still have to be open to listening to the other brilliant talents around you when they give you ideas. So I can't imagine not one person around him didn't tell him, hey, bro, we should probably add a score to this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Like, that was just a weird choice, I guess. I don't even understand looking at it from a creative standpoint. But so what is the weirdest? Okay, Shiela, tell me a pet peeve you see in film that takes you out of the film, and even if it was a decent film or whatever, that if someone does it, it takes you out of the film and it's hard for you to watch it.
Well, I'll preface this with saying I think this is my own flaw because I am often overly analytical when it comes to a lot of things. But I am such a stickler for consistency. And if I see any flaws or if I see any continuity errors, I kind of go haywire, like, oh my gosh, her hair was here like 1 moment ago, and then the next take it's down here, and it's like, what happened within 2 seconds for her hair to be there and now her hair's here? Or I mean, obviously there's much crazier moments of continuity error, like the Starbucks cup from Game of Thrones. But on the other side of the coin, I think because I'm so analytical, like I love puzzles, for instance. I love how everything fits together and comes together in such a beautifully planned out and orchestrated tapestry. it essentially becomes a game. So every time I watch something, or you know, whether it's something I create or something somebody else makes, I'm like constantly looking. And I think if I can take myself out of that judgmental mindset, and not necessarily I'm looking for errors, but I am looking for errors, and I focus on everything around those errors, I start to notice things I never would have seen otherwise.
I think The Boys does a good job on that as far as new TV shows.
Good Boys?
The Boys?
Oh, The Boys. I haven't seen
the
that
new
yet.
one that's superheroes and.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so.
Oh
I'll
yeah, it's
have
very
to watch
twisted and kind of pops things out of nowhere from the left that you're kind of like, whoa, okay. But I hear you. And then I agree with what you're saying, like the never-ending cocking shotgun on like every scene. They still haven't fired the shotgun yet, and they keep like adding the cocking, the pumping of the shotgun sound into every scene.
Yeah, essentially, it's actually interesting to think about it like that, because there can be so many different kinds of errors in filmmaking, from the, you know, just the appearance to the production design to the sound design, to even sometimes to the music if you're listening really closely. But that's also what makes it beautiful, because it brings you back to the fact that humans made this, that so many different people had to come together to make this happen. So even if it's flawed, even if you can find 100 errors or 1,000 errors, it like puts you back into the perspective of that filmmaker. Like,
well, there's no perfection. So, I mean, literally, there's not one film ever that was ever made that doesn't have some flaw somewhere.
True.
You know, but then there are ones that literally, I agree with you, there are ones I cannot overlook. I remember I don't even remember the name of it, but I remember watching the very beginnings of some sci-fi film on the Sci-Fi Channel. And literally it starts off with this heroic look of this guy standing in a door frame with the sun coming in the door. And he shows this very heroic silhouette pose in the door frame with the sun coming in. Then the next shot is him coming out of that building. And now that door comes into a stone wall that then opens up into the open area right after the shot of that door frame had been looking into an open area and the sun was coming right into it. So literally the exit shot was obviously at a different door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, man, how did this get through editing? Like literally you start the whole film in the shot of this guy in the door frame looking out into the sky, and then all of a sudden the next shot is him coming out and it's completely different door, and that door goes into a wall and the wall comes out into the open area, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, how the hell? Especially the very first 30 seconds of the film, I'm like, how the hell did you?
Well, I think the other funny and interesting thing to note that we don't always think about as more experienced filmmakers, I won't say professional yet, because who knows what that means except for you know, being paid. But once you reach a certain level, or once you have worked on so many productions, you start to get a feel for what problems could come up later. And I've been a part of several sets where I was like, wait, we can't do this, or we can't shoot it that way, or we can't have the focus be here because in the scene we just did, it's this, that, and this. And I've had my foot handed to me, or whatever the phrase is. I've had my mouth shut immediately from the director saying, yeah, but we can't afford to blank, blank, blank because of time, or because of resources, or because of this or that. So yes, it's going to be wrong, or it's going to look bad. But the average viewer won't catch that, because the average viewer is not a filmmaker. The average viewer is not an actor or an editor or a director. So that's the other thing that always brings me back to real life, is like, you're right. There's goods and bads.
Well, that's not true though, because the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones, literally millions of people like caught that. And
I mean, that's a whole other ballgame though. You're talking about a period piece, and then this very trendy white and green, very recognizable prop that should not be there. So yeah, that's a different story.
Now, did y'all catch the car traveling down the road in Lord of the Rings?
Well, I did not catch that.
It's in the director's cut, in the extended edition. Basically, they actually put it in theater. You don't see it unless you actually catch it in your unless it catches your eye. But there's actually a car traveling down the road in New Zealand while they're filming.
I did see the jets coming into LAX. And,
hey, dude, Sauron needed some help, man. So he brought in some extra alien craft to.
Oh my god.
Hey, you know what? But there is no perfection, and I tell, but you know, like most things in film, it's very much a catch-22 because I tell filmmakers to write with a budget in mind, which a lot of writers don't do. When they're writing scripts, they write with no money in mind, and so then they write a script, and then they have almost no budget, and then they're frustrated that they're not being able to shoot what they wrote. And I'm like, because you didn't think about money when you wrote it. So it's always key to think that, but at the same time, I don't want young filmmakers to not shoot because they're so always worried about whether it'll be perfect or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a catch-22. You gotta go out and do it. I'd rather see someone go out and try and get it done than trying to be perfect. You know what I mean? So because in reality, it doesn't matter how much funding, and this is the truth. No matter how much funding you have, no matter what you're shooting, there's always going to be fuck-ups.
Right.
Something's always going to go wrong. There's always going to be something that doesn't go quite how you envision it to go. And that's just the reality of filmmaking.
Very true.
So, you know, so such is life. Now, what I do wish is I wish that our country was a little more supportive of our art and creativity than it is. It seems to me a lot of times that seems to be the lowest on the totem poles, where other countries like European countries and stuff like that are a little more supportive of their art. And anytime there's a budget cut, the first thing they usually cut is art programs, especially in public schools. And art, so I always
art, music, choir, theater, drama.
Yeah, all that stuff, woodworking, shop, all that kind of stuff.
It's still happening to this day in Austin. 2 music programs in the live music capital of the world.
Yeah.
Oh, it is here in Tennessee too. Even in Nashville, Music City, it happens because football is king. You know.
Well, no, and also the government wants this. They want kids taught stuff that make them good automated citizens that create stuff to make them money. And art tends to teach independent critical thinking and not follow the yellow brick road thinking. You know what I mean? So art and creativity tend to teach kids how to be independent thinkers. And I don't know if that's really like something that's they're a big fan of. So
art and music teach kids how to think, not what to think.
It also teaches them more empathy. It also teaches them a lot of good things that I think all kids should be taught. So
how to create and not just reciprocate as well.
Yeah, I hear you. But anyway, you guys, it's been amazing talking to both of you. I apologize for our little glitch in the beginning there. Again, that was the first. And again, nothing ever, like we just talked about, nothing ever goes perfectly the way you want it to. But I hope you guys have had fun. I hope you, I know that me and Mark love having you guys. You guys are both very interesting and creative and talented people. And that was the whole point of this show, is to allow people that maybe otherwise wouldn't know who you are, giving them an opportunity to meet all sorts of new, brilliant, and amazing spirits, and for you guys to meet each other. And again, expand the family and expand the dream. And as the title says, dreamers talking to dreamers. So I thank you both for being here. It's been a beautiful evening.
Yes, thank you, JD and Mark and John. It was such a pleasure to meet you and hear
Well, it's been a
your.
pleasure to meet all of you, and even meeting Lulu, even though Lulu, we
Oh,
didn't
Lola?
officially meet Lulu. Yeah, there we go. Hi.
Lola, yeah.
Lola. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I should
Lola.
have known that. That's
Like
my
the
grandmother.
song. No, wait. How does the song go? Lola. Lola.
Right.
La,
Forget
la,
how
la,
that.
la, Lola. I think that
Yeah.
was part of it.
Yeah.
Although I can't think of any other version except for Weird Al's Yoda version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now there was a little bit of, now for you people out there, there is a little bit of somber energy, but that's because literally there's a little bit of somber energy. There's a whole lot of somber energy out in the universe right now. So even but there's a good point there. All of that permeates in all things that you do. You know what I mean? So, but there's also beautiful energy in all things. There is just as much beauty and sadness as there is in happiness, if you look at it in the right perspective. And there's just as many lessons to learn when you're happy as when you're sad, as when you're all those things in between. So all of those things have validity and purpose and beauty and joy in all those things. Now, I think it's kind of a strange thought to see beauty and joy and sadness, but there would be no beauty or joy if there wasn't sadness. It's only in the contrast of those things that they exist. So
Exactly.
beautiful blessings to anybody's aspirations and dreams and anything you want to accomplish, both with John and Shiela. If there's anything I can ever do to help either one of you, and it's within my ability to do so, then let me know. If you ever need a lightsaber savant, there's Mark right there. You'll have to wait though. Right now he's currently circling the planet, so it'll be a while before he gets back. But anyway, beautiful blessings, you guys. You've been watching Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers, episode 38. As always, dream a little dream.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you, Mark.
Take
Thank
care.
you.